Welcome to day 4 of the 12 days of money tips. Let's talk about the FIRE movement. If you haven't heard of the FIRE movement, or if you're not aware of it, then I'm excited to introduce it to you. And if you have heard of the FIRE movement and you completely hate it or are against it, then bear with me and just hear me out for this video. So the FIRE movement is a big thing in the finance community, depending on which area of it you explore, and it's just an acronym. So FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, and I love the concept of this, and it is what I am now going after. Ever since I heard about it, it's been something I've learned more about and have realized that I can make possible. Oftentimes people get caught up on the RE portion of it, retire early, and let me explain why this is not exactly as it seems. Typically with FIRE, you are aiming to reach a financial independence number, and this is basically your net worth, the amount that you have invested and have saved for you to use for the rest of your life, basically. I'm not going to go too into detail with this, but this is typically 25 times your annual expenses, and then you would follow the 4% rule. There are different areas of this that you can go down a whole rabbit hole with, but that's the basics of it. So you invest a certain amount, you live debt-free, you live basically a frugal life or a life you enjoy, and then you are able to leave your job and do what it is that you desire. So this is the important part. A lot of people don't like the idea of retire early because what they think people are doing in the FIRE movement is just quitting their jobs and going to watch Netflix all day or lay on the beach all day, and that is not the case. The idea behind the FIRE movement is that you can leave a job that you do not like, or you can basically get out of a life that you do not enjoy as much as something that you would do on the other side. So you are creating a life that you actually love, and you leave your 9-to-5 job or whatever job it is that you maybe don't truly desire at the moment or ever, and you are doing something that makes you happy. You are filling your life with better things for you and for your family. There are different extremes to this. There are different terms with FIRE as well. So you may hear fat FIRE or lean FIRE or coast FIRE or slow FI, which is exactly what I would like to do. And that's what I love about it so much, is that you can make this work for you no matter what stage you are at in your life. Personally, I really just like the FI side of FIRE, so financial independence, which basically means you reach debt freedom and you are able to save enough money for you to live off of comfortably, and or you make money from doing things that you really love. So for example, for me, that would be like blogging and YouTubing and maybe getting into crafts and DIY or coaching people financially. So basically going more so down an entrepreneurial route, while at the same time reducing my money spent. So sticking to a life that I can maintain very well and living quite frugally, but doing things that I still enjoy. And then from there, I can continue to invest and reach a financial independence number by whatever age I desire. And some people are able to retire at 30 years old, 35, 40, etc., etc. So typically the retirement age, at least here in the USA, is like 65 or 60. It just depends on where you work and obviously your field of work. And people think that is a rule, that you have to work until a certain age, sometime in your 60s, in order for you to actually retire. But that's just not the case these days. There are many things that you can do to retire early. The other thing with financial independence, retire early, is that people think you have to have a high income, but that's not the case either. There are many people who make a lower income and are able to pay off their debt and invest more money, save more money, and still retire earlier than the traditional retirement age. Or during that time, they are not working in a traditional sense, but they are doing things that make them happy and investing what they can. I think everybody should learn about the FIRE movement and explore a little bit into it. There are so many resources, all of which I will link down below, some of my favorite ones, from blogs to podcasts. and everything in between. And even if you don't think that this is right for you or that you could even do it, I think you should still look into it. And here's why. So the first reason why I think you should is because you can start looking at your retirement plan and seeing what's possible. So you may think that you're going to retire at 65, maybe even later, because you don't think it's even possible. But if you mess with your numbers a little bit, do some learning on the FIRE movement and see how people make it work, plug in your numbers to the calculators, and you could possibly see that you could retire in 10 years instead of waiting until 65. Or you could maybe retire at 55. It just depends on where you're at in your life, but you can probably find some little shift in your life right now to help you to create a life that you are excited about every day. The second reason is that you can find ways to lower your expenses and reduce your spending. And this is so important just in general with finances, and it's a big part of the FIRE movement. Now, some people go really extreme. You know, there are some people who have a really high income and they literally invest 99% of that income after taxes and don't spend money on everything. And they ride their bikes to work, they ride their bikes everywhere. They barely spend any money on food. They never go out to eat. They rarely go out on vacation, and they do this in a really small amount of time. But there are also other people who have just realized that the things that they were buying before they started along the path of FIRE are not making them happy anymore. So they don't feel the need to spend a lot of money on clothes and shoes, but maybe they want to spend a little bit more on travel or going out to eat. And when you look into this, you'll start to see that there are things in your life that you're probably spending money on and are not making you very happy. But this can help you to determine and prioritize what does make you happy in your life and what you actually want to spend your money on, and then reduce your expenses elsewhere. There are also a lot of tips out there just in general in the FIRE community about frugal living or living on a budget, and those are always helpful for everybody. The third reason is you can find new ways and more ways to increase your income. There are a lot of people out there in the FIRE community who do different side gigs and side hustles, and it's so interesting. I've listened to so many podcasts and people do things I've never heard of and are making money on the side with that. Or after they reach their FIRE number, they go on to do little side hustles or gigs here and there, or just something that they really like, and you can see that they are earning a small income from it, and it's very interesting. So there are a lot of people out there that are increasing their income for the purpose of FIRE. So for example, like myself, I really like to have all these side hustles so then I can pay off more debt, and once my debt is paid off, I can invest more and get closer to financial independence. The fourth reason is that you will learn so much about saving and investing. Typically, what we're told just from society is that we should be investing, 5%, 10%. That's just the normal number. I know sometimes I've seen 25%. But with the FIRE movement, people are typically investing 50% or more of their take-home pay, which is incredible. And that is exactly how you get to financial independence faster. So instead of just investing your 10%, you are going way above and beyond that. And ideally, you can increase this every year. But if you just look into this, you can see how to invest your money, how people are investing in long-term index funds and mutual funds to pay off more so in the long run. And again, going back to determining what your priorities are when it comes to spending, you can cut back on the areas that you're spending and instead invest that money, which a lot of people don't think is possible. The only plans out there are not your 401k and Roth IRA. There are lots of options that you can invest in outside of that, and there's something for everybody. This is huge because there are people making well over 6 figures and they're spending all that money, and maybe they're only investing 5% of their income, and they're good. They may be good to retire by 65 or 70, or maybe they're not even investing at all. But instead, what if they could live off of half of their income and invested the other half? That makes a huge difference, and you can reach that financial independence number much faster. There are just so many things that you can learn from the FIRE movement, even if it's not something that you want to do. But I guarantee you that you can depending on your age, of course, you can probably take this route and at least retire before 65. For myself, I am technically behind in the FIRE movement because I'm 27 and I still have $40,000 of debt. So typically at this age, in order to retire by 35, let's say, you would be well in the positive net worth range and just continuing to save. It is a lot easier if you have a higher income, but that's absolutely not necessary. I have listened to podcasts where people have reached financial independence on a teacher's salary, on a janitor's salary, on a truck driver's salary. It's incredible what's out there and the options that are available if you actually put in the effort for that. It's not some crazy cult where people are doing stupid things or that every time the market crashes that they're just screwed. There are lots of people who are doing this even through this pandemic and through this economic crash. They are still on their path to financial independence or living right through it, and they are doing just fine. So look into it. I promise you it is worth it. Like I said, even if you're not completely interested into it or if you don't believe in it, you can still definitely take something away from it. So down below, I will link some of the best resources. As I said, there are lots of podcasts and books and blogs that I enjoy reading on financial independence, and it's a great place to start. Let me know your thoughts on the FIRE movement and the FIRE community. I think it's such an amazing thing, and I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to even think of that as an option, and I hope that you start exploring it too if you haven't before. Also, let me know if you would like me to talk more on the FIRE movement. Obviously, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite on that deep investing path yet just while I'm paying off debts, but I do plan on getting there, so I can definitely talk about this more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's money tip video.